The first thing I noticed was the text from Clara. Going to Mom's for a few hours. Don't wait up. It sounded normal, even mundane, but something about it felt sharp, like a knife pressed lightly against the skin. I stared at it for a long time, my chest tightening, my mind trying to ignore the gnawing doubt that had been creeping in over the past few weeks. She kissed me goodbye like she always did. Quick, polite. But there was a tension in her shoulders, a slight tremor in her hand that made me pause. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe she was just stressed, maybe tired. But the feeling didn't go away. Later, when I absent-mindedly checked her GPS location on her shared phone, my stomach sank. The little blude that should have been at her mother's house, 30 minutes away, was instead moving along a route I didn't recognize, weaving through streets in a neighborhood I had never been to. I blinked at the screen, disbelief locking me in place. My heart began hammering in my chest. I sat on the edge of the couch for what felt like an eternity, staring at that, trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe she had stopped somewhere on the way to her mom's. My mind grasped for excuses because love wants to believe in trust, in innocence, in explanations that don't destroy everything you hold dear. But deep down I knew. I knew the truth was waiting somewhere down that unknown road. I grabbed my keys and drove, hands shaking on the wheel. The city lights blurred past as my heart pounded, and I replayed every small moment over the past weeks. The faint perfume on her collar that didn't smell like her usual vanilla, the late-night texts she hid, the sudden laughter at messages she quickly silenced. I had dismissed them, called myself paranoid, told myself I was imagining shadows where there were none. But now, each memory was a breadcrumb, leading me toward a truth I wasn't sure I wanted to confront. The GPS led me to a small apartment complex I had never visited. Clara's car was there, parked inconspicuously among the others, and my stomach dropped as I saw her exit the building, laughing with a man I didn't recognize. It wasn't a grand scene, no dramatic embrace or shouting, just a quiet intimacy in the way they leaned close, the soft brush of hands, the kind of closeness that had no place in our marriage. I didn't confront her immediately. I watched from my car, the rain starting to fall, dripping cold and heavy onto the windshield. I wanted to scream, to run inside, to tear her away from whatever deception she was wrapped in, but I couldn't. I felt paralyzed, my heart breaking in slow, deliberate beats. This was the woman I loved, the woman I had trusted completely, and now I saw her differently, through a lens of betrayal that I couldn't unsee. When she finally got back home hours later, her hair damp from the storm, I sat in the living room, pretending to read, though I was numb, broken. She hung her wet coat on the rack, shrugged off the tension from her shoulders as if nothing had changed. "Hey," she said softly. "Mom's place was nice. Long chat. You okay?" I set down the book slowly, my voice trembling. "Clara, I saw where you went today." Her face froze. I saw it. The flicker of panic, the instant shift in posture. I don't know what you mean," she said, her voice too high, too careful. I could feel my throat tightening, my mind spinning with every cruel possibility. "Don't lie to me. I know you weren't at your mom's." I followed the GPS. Her hands shook as she sank onto the couch beside me. I didn't mean for it to go this far," she admitted. The words were whispered, broken, weighted with guilt. I just wanted someone to talk to. Felt lonely. I didn't think you'd understand." And just like that, the walls I had built around my heart crumbled. Memories of laughter, shared breakfasts, quiet evenings on the couch. They all flickered through my mind, tainted now with doubt. Every hug, every kiss, every whispered "I love you" suddenly felt suspect. I felt like I had been living in a beautiful lie, wrapped in warmth that wasn't entirely real. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to scream, to demand why, to punish her in the only way I knew how. But all I could do was sit there, feeling the pain in a raw, physical way. My chest ached, my hands shook, and I felt tears burning behind my eyes. I realized, painfully, that I still loved her, even as I understood the betrayal. That love was now tangled with grief, confusion, and heartbreak in a way I had never anticipated. She reached for my hand, timid, hesitant. I didn't cheat. Not physically. It was emotional, I know. But I felt like I was disappearing, like I wasn't enough for you. Her voice cracked, and I felt the sting of truth and guilt in equal measure. I sat back, staring at her, struggling to reconcile the woman I loved with the person who had sought solace somewhere else. I remembered the nights we stayed up talking, the dreams we shared, the promises we whispered. And I realized that love wasn't simple. It wasn't perfect. It could be misdirected, flawed, and still remain. The next hours passed in a blur of conversation, confession, and silence. We didn't fight. There was no yelling, no accusations. Only raw, unpolished honesty. I asked questions I needed answers to. She gave answers I wanted to hear, though some still cut deep. We uncovered truths that had been buried in the everyday noise of life, in the small gaps where loneliness and disconnection had crept in. Eventually we faced the hardest choice. Could we rebuild, even knowing what had happened? Could trust be reestablished? Could love survive this quiet, emotional betrayal? I didn't know. But I knew that walking away, leaving the life we built, would feel like surrendering something vital. Not just to her but to myself. In the days that followed, the tension lingered. Every glance, every tone, every gesture carried the weight of suspicion and longing. Yet beneath it all, there were moments of tenderness, reminders of the woman I had loved and still did, flickers of hope that maybe, with time, honesty, and effort, we could find our way back. One night, sitting together on the couch, she reached for my hand. "I know I hurt you," she said, voice trembling. "And I don't expect forgiveness overnight. I want to try if you'll let me." I nodded slowly, feeling the ache of betrayal still raw but softened slightly by her vulnerability. "I can't promise things will be the same," I admitted. "But I want to try too. We have to be honest all the way. That's the only way forward." Later, lying alone in bed, I stared at the ceiling, thinking about love, trust, and the fragility of the life we had built. I realized that love doesn't disappear in betrayal. It's tested, reshaped, and sometimes strengthened in ways we don't expect. Trust, once broken, can be painstakingly rebuilt, though it will always carry the scars of what came before. And in the quiet of that night, I understood something profound. Even when love falters, even when trust is shattered, the human heart has a remarkable capacity to survive, to forgive, and to find clarity in the aftermath of heartbreak.